counter IED tool to like funnel them down the road to have them
genius.
function the IEDs.
How many goats are we talking here?
Like 130
Holy
something.
shit.
That's what's crazy about IEDs. Is that there's legacy IEDs, there's older ones, there's newer ones, there's ones that are more sensitive, there's ones that you might be able to step on and not function, but that the next guy might function it. Operation Goat Rope, right? Which is something that stands out to me that is a good memory for me of a mission that we had. And there were a lot of our Afghans that were that had been getting killed on this road that the Taliban was sneaking in between these compounds and putting these bombs in the same part, and they were just running over them and driving over them, and like mass casualties and stuff like that from this one thing. And then we wanted to take care of that problem, so we wanted to occupy a building, that was in the green zone so that we could eliminate this problem, have security in that area where they were sneaking in. And so we had no support. This was at the beginning of the deployment. So I had devised a plan with my Afghan local police commander that my team leader let me run. So basically, there's a goat herder that brings his goats in front of my little compound every night to take back to their goat pen. So I wanted to use all these goats as a counter IED tool to like funnel them down the road to have them
genius.
function the IEDs.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
How'd you do it?
We did it. So we had the goats. We had some of our Afghans, locals that worked with us that basically were like, had experience with the goats, commands and stuff. So they're like whipping them and telling them where to go and corralling them. But we had our engineers build a goat pen. So we took all these goats and promised the goat herder that we'd pay him, and he was like, no problem.
How many goats are we talking here?
Like 130
Holy
something
shit.
maxed out, dude.
So you guys are already in a small space.
But we had a little Hesco goat pen. That's outside, maxed out with goats.
You find a goat herder. What did you
It
roll
fell
her
right
up?
in my lap though, because this guy's literally coming right back and forth. I was like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So we took the goats. He allowed us to pay him, promised pay him later when we get funds, which we did. But in the morning when we took off on the mission, the goats led the route down the road and functioned all the IEDs minus one. There was one that still got functioned later in the day with the goats on the way back that we all made it over on the way there. That's what's crazy about IEDs, is that there's legacy IEDs, there's older ones, there's newer ones, there's ones that are more sensitive, there's ones that you might be able to step on and not function, but that the next guy might function it, and then there's ones that have been there for like, dude, we had times where we had been on an area and we had done an operation where we had vehicles there, we slept out on the ground, like we had cleared it 50 different ways, and then one day when we were driving back out, a legacy functioned.
Damn.
In that same place where we were all laying and living and walking everywhere, and like, dude. So after that, I'm like, dude, I don't know what's what here. Every step I take needs to be intentional. There were so many times I almost stepped on something that was like disturbed earth, or there's sign of IED. There's IEDs everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like we found or functioned so many IEDs, and I had so many of my Afghan local police guys that I was like in meetings with like this, and then they would take off, and then they would be back medevaced within an hour, and like it's like their soul is gone. We're doing medical stuff on them, but they're not there anymore.
Damn.
IED over and over and over and over. It's like, so the thing was like, dude, we'll sacrifice these goats to save human lives all day,
Yeah.
So the goats did work. They found or functioned all those ones on the road, and then we fed them into the compound that we were going to occupy. They did all the same thing in there. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
More goats than could fit in there, and they all found or functioned, all of them. Some of them went off, and then the ones that didn't go off, you could see where everything was at. You just, whatever, deal with it. But anyway, so
how many goats, how many IEDs? So hold on.
Dude, but a lot of those goats didn't survive. They were they went down for the cause.
Really?
Yeah.
So you took 100 and something goats and just marched them on this exact
Counter
route
ID.
that you guys were going to drive,
Yeah.
and the goats would basically take the hit.
Yeah.
And then you would keep the goats going into the target that you were going to hit, or the house you were going to occupy, or whatever it was, and just let them run around
For
in
this
there.
one time, this wasn't like this wasn't a recurring thing. This was a one-time thing that we did that worked.
It's genius.
Yeah.
I've never heard that. That was your idea?
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
And then we got them back, you know. Yeah, I left, you know, I left that off of my college applications for business school, you know. Nah, dude. So that was cool. I really liked working with, you know, the Afghans have a completely different culture, you know, and values and all that stuff is different. But, you know, it was interesting, and a lot of it was, you know, like related to growing up on the border of Mexico, you know, and being like a gringo and dealing with like rough customers, you know, and then being over there in the village and it's like, hey, dude, here I am again. Like, same thing. It's just like being on the job site down the border, like being in that environment. And so every experience, you know, can like feed into the next.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.